All right, in today's video reference, we're going to be looking at writing equations in our third format, which is standard form. So standard form is the format ax plus by equals c. With the standard form, a, b, and c are basically your constants or real numbers, and a and b both can't be zero. So the first thing I want to learn is how to write multiple equivalent versions of an equation. So if you think back to like just normal fractions, you can write equivalent fractions. Like if you have 3/4, you could multiply everything by, I don't know, 5. An equivalent fraction would be 15/20. So similarly with equations, all you do is multiply each term on both sides of the equation by the same number. So this becomes the handy thing to do when you write from point slope to standard form, because sometimes the equations you end up getting are not the most attractive equations. You have fractions or decimals or things of that nature. So here's an example. So we can write multiple versions of this equation, which is 2x minus 6y, and that should be, if you could just fix that on your paper, equals 4. All right, so first thing I'll do is just multiply every term by 3, I guess. So times 3, I'll just write times 3 times 3. So this would be 6x minus 18y equals 12. Another one I could do is, what if I divided every term by 2? Could someone tell me what that equation would be? Yeah, you would get x minus 3y equals 2. And for the heck of it, for the last one, I'll just multiply everything by 10. So that would give me 20x. Who wants to finish this equation for me? Minus 60y equals 40. I'm going to pause the video here. Maybe you can, with the person next to you, come up with 3 different equations, and we can kind of share them out in just a second. Great. So let's write an equation from a graph, but now we're going to write it in standard form. So basically, what we're really doing in this section is we're still in point slope, but instead of changing it to slope-intercept form, or y equals mx plus b, we're going to change it to ax plus by equals c, which is our standard form. So the first step hasn't changed. You need to calculate the slope. So we're going to do rise over run. Can someone tell me what that slope would be here? Yeah, it would be 2, 4, 6 over 2, which would be m equals 3. Okay, so now at the bottom here, let's use this point here. Usually they've been having us do the right-hand point. Can someone tell me what this point is? -2, 3. All right, for 2 stickers, can someone write the equation in point slope form using this point and that slope? So hopefully you said y minus 3 equals 3 parentheses x plus 2. Okay, so sorry, that got a little cut off there. So now this step's a little bit different. If we go to the next page here, we're going to write it in standard form. So let me just rewrite our point slope. And it is weird because usually we solve for a variable, but now when it's in standard form, we're really just solving for a constant. We're going to just solve for a number. We want a variable term with x and a variable term with y. So raise your hand. What's the first step to do with this equation? Distribute. And that would give me y minus 3 equals 3x plus 6. And then again, it's kind of a strange thing here. So we're going to, it looks like we have a y term here. Maybe we can bring this term, that's the x term here. So I'm going to minus 3x from both sides. And I'm going to be left with y minus 3x minus 3 equals 6. And then what would the last step be? Maybe add 3 to both sides. And now look what I'm left with. I'm left with y minus 3x equals 9. But that's still not standard form, because if we think back, it's going to be ax plus by equals c. And right now we have by plus ax equals c. So raise your hand. Does anyone know what the final equation would be for this? Yeah, you just switch it up. So it would be negative 3x plus y equals 9. And we'll take it even a step further. Some mathematicians don't like that first term, negative. So we could write negative 3x plus y equals 9 again. And then using what we learned here, who has a way that we could use an equivalent fraction, an equivalent equation to change that so that's not negative anymore? Yeah, maybe you said multiply everything by -1, if you will. So now our new final equation without the negative up front would be 3x minus y equals -9. Very good. Moving on to the next section here. We're going to find the missing coefficient in the equation of the line that passes through the given point. All right, so in this part here, we're going to plug in what we know, and we'll find the missing b term here. So let's write this down here. So this is our x, this is our y, so it's -4 times -1 plus b times 1 equals 7. Can someone simplify that for me? 4 plus b equals 7. And could someone then tell me what b would equal in this equation? Yeah, you would get b is equal to 3. And the last part of today's video reference, this is a question that comes up a lot in this unit. It's a little awkward to think about at first, but once you do the first one, it's pretty simple. So you go to here's the point, -3, 4. So could someone use the laser and tell me what -3, 4 is? Yeah, it's right here. Okay. So basically what we're trying to do here, if you go back to the question, is trying to come up with a vertical and horizontal lines that passes through -3, 4. So thinking back to vertical lines, is that an x equals equation or a y equals equation that gives me a vertical line? Yeah, it's an x equals equation. So I want to basically make this line happen. Can someone tell me what is that x equals equation? Yeah, it's x equals -3. And then if we want the y equals equation here, that would be, hopefully here you know that horizontal is y equals, right? So that would be this line right here. Can someone tell me what's the y equals equation that would go right through that coordinate? Yeah, so it would be 4, y equals 4. So basically, it seems like a complicated question, but really, if you want to pass through any point, -3, 4, you just use your x coordinate, x equals -3, you points pass through it. Use your y coordinate, y equals 4, and you pass through it. So maybe just to end the video, I'll choose the point. Let's try 1, -5. So let's plot that. So we got 1, -5 all the way down here. Okay, so let's end the video. Could you come up with a vertical and horizontal line that passes through 1, -5? Yeah, so hopefully you said, let's start the vertical line. What's the vertical line? X equals 1 would cut it here. That. And can someone tell me what's the horizontal line? Y equals -5 would cut it right there. Okay, so hopefully that helps you get ready for this section 5.4. writing linear equations in standard form. Remember, this will be helpful to clean up the equation at the end, getting equivalent equations. Really what you're doing is just putting it in point-slope form and then manipulating the equation to get back to standard form. And there's sometimes we'll see questions like this.